Hello, second grade stars. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2020. I told you we would start a new read aloud, and that is exactly what I have for you. We have Louis Sikar, Wayside School Gets a Little Stranger, and I have even better news for you because when we are done with that one, I have got book number 4, Wayside School Beneath the Cloud of Doom. Hot off the presses, just released 2 weeks ago. So let's start with Wayside School Gets a Little Stranger, and let's get back into Wayside School. I will read you 2 chapters at a time, and then we should be able to get through this book pretty quickly. Sounds good? Explanation, Chapter 1. For 243 days, a lonely sign hung on the front of the old school building. Wayside School, closed for repairs. On some days, a child would come, look at the sign, and sadly walk away. Or else a child would come, look at the sign, stand on her head, and sadly walk away. Louis watched them come and go. Now remember, Louis is the art teacher, but Louis is also Louis Sikar. But he never said hi to them. He hid when they came. You see, it was his job to repair the school. Louis used to be the art teacher at Wayside School. He passed out the balls and he played with the kids at recess and lunch. And when the school closed, the children were sent to other schools, horrible schools. No 2 kids were sent to the same school. Louis was afraid he'd cry if he talked to them. But he worked hard for 242 days. Oh my goodness, 242 days. If we go to school for 180 days, and there's 365 days in the year, think about how long that is. It's almost like 3/4 of a year. So crazy. So for 242 days, he pushed and pulled, shoveled and mopped. He never left the building. At night, he slept on the couch in the teacher's lounge on the 12th floor. Some days it seemed hopeless. The worst part was the smell. He often had to run and stick his head out of a window to get a fresh breath of air. But whenever he felt like quitting, he thought about those poor kids stuck in those horrible schools. And he worked even harder. And at last, 243 days later, the school was ready to open. Well, almost ready. There was one little problem. Suddenly, from inside the building, or maybe it was just inside of his head, Louis heard a loud moo. He put his hands over his ears and he said, "I don't hear it, I don't hear it, I don't hear it," until the mooing stopped. He had scrubbed and polished every inch of Wayside School. There were no cows anywhere. He was sure of it. Still, every once in a while, he did think he heard a moo. At least, he thought so. He took the sign off the door. But before you could enter, you should know something about Wayside School. Wayside School is a 30-story building with 1 room on each floor, except there is no 19th story. Mrs. Jules teaches the class on the 30th story. Miss Zarvez teaches the class on the 19th story, but there is no Miss Zarvez. You understand? Good. Can you explain that to me then? "Louis," someone shouted. He turned to see a red and blue overcoat running toward him. "Hi, Sherry," he said. He couldn't see her face, but he knew she had to be somewhere inside of that coat. Sherry jumped into his arms. "I bet you're glad to be back," said Louis. "You bet," said Sherry. "Now I can finally get some sleep." All around the playground, old friends were getting back together. "Hi, old pal," said John. "Hey, good buddy," said Joe. "Bibi," yelled Calvin from one side of the playground. "Calvin," yelled Bibi from the other, and they ran and smashed right into each other. "Hi, Eric. Good to see you," said Eric. "Hey, good to see you too," said Eric. "Oh, look, there's Eric. Hi, Eric. Hi, Eric. Hi, Eric. Hi, Eric." Even Kathy said hello to everybody. "Hey, Big Ears," she said to Myron as she slapped him on the back. "What's happening, Smelly?" she asked Damien. "You didn't take a bath for 243 days, did you?" "Hi, Allison. You did get even uglier when we were away, or were you always this ugly and I just forgot?" "That's a nice sweater, Kathy," said Allison, who always tried to say something nice. Kathy moved on to Terrence. "I'm sure glad to see you, Terrence," she said. "You are?" asked Terrence. "Yes," said Kathy. "I thought for sure you'd be in jail by now." Todd came running across the playground. "Hi, Todd," shouted Sherry right into Louis's ear. Todd kept running. "Hey, Todd," called Jason. "Good to see you." "Hi, Todd," called Myron and DJ. But Todd didn't answer. He just kept running until he reached the school building. And then he kissed Wayside School. Out of all the schools, Todd had been sent to the very worst one. It was awful. The first thing he had to do every morning was, wait a second, I don't have to tell you. You already know. because Todd was sent to your school. Chapter 2, a message from the principal. Damien